Rocky Mountain Audio Fest 2014 Reviewers View. We all just finished walking the show, and I'm going to just pass over to a new invitee from Digital Audio Review and Part-Time Audiophile. Kirsten, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Over to my far left here is...
Hey, Peter, it's Miles Astor. 2 weeks, long time no see.
Long time no see. Did we just do this?
Yes,
Deja
vu all over again.
That's right. And we have another new guest reviewer, Steve Marsh from Six Moons. Steve, how are you?
Great, thanks for inviting me, Peter.
You're quite welcome. Now, we got called out in our last show report. Somebody posted on the asylum, you don't have any young people, you don't have any women, you don't have it. It's just a bunch of old guys. Well, I can tell you, it ain't old guys today. Kirsten, what did you think of the show?
I had a great time. This is my third year going to the to Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, and it's always such a good time. I get to see all the people, and the sound was really good this year. I really had heard some great stuff.
I thought the sound was good too. Miles, what do you think of the show overall?
I actually thought this year the attendance seemed a little bit, up from last year. Although it wasn't like in big chunks, it was kind of like a continuous flow over the 3 days. But I guess the one thing I just kind of came across to me thinking about it wasn't so much the rooms I was interested in this year as much as individual components. Somehow the rooms didn't all kind of mesh, but there were some components I really, really wanted to, get.
And Steve, how about you? What do you think of the show overall?
Had a great time, always do. This is my 5th year in a row, and as far as young people, you talked about, if you go into the Can Jam, it's
that's right.
almost everyone in there is around 30 or less, I would say. So that's a really exciting frontier for audio, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're all hopeful that the Can Jam attendees and the Can Jam exhibitors, we're talking headphones when we say Can Jam, for those who don't know, it's huge here. They have a whole ballroom. It's just filled with kiosk after kiosk, table after table. You'll see it in the video. I did a quick walk around, and I'll tell you, I could have taken all day to go through that if I wanted to sit down and listen. And you're right, everybody was, younger than the main set who enjoys high performance audio here at the Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. So let's lead off. What was the best room sonically, Kirsten, for you?
Well, I think probably my favorite room sonically was, there's a company I hadn't seen before called All Sonic, and they're doing modded Altex and with subwoofers, and the detail in that room was so good. I went back 3 times to listen to test tracks, and the integration of the subwoofers was wonderful. Sometimes at these shows especially, people bring the subwoofer and it gets a little bit like thumpy, and it's just, you couldn't even tell that they were there. They were just doing what they're supposed to do. It was really nice.
Steve, how about you? Top pick.
I think I'd have to go with, I generally like to root for the underdog, I must say.
I like that.
But in this case, I'm going to have to go with a Megabuck system, which was the Isomic room with the Sony speakers and the EMM Labs amps. Of course, a lot of it had to do with their fantastic recording quality, but that was just amazing.
That's a 4-channel discrete system, so it's not a 5.1, it's front, left, right, rear, left, right. And you can't really play it unless you have that type of setup. You have to have 4 amplifiers, 4 loudspeakers, but when you do, they balance that just perfectly. So it's like you're sitting there in the recorded event because they're getting the left, right, and the rear. The microphones are back there, and then it's reproduced to the loudspeakers. So let's pass that one over to Miles.
Okay. Well, there were a couple of those systems that actually I liked from CES and from 2 weeks ago in New York, but I'm not going to go with those 2. But I'm going to go to the dark side. Okay, and I think everyone pretty knows my inclination towards analog. But for me, the best room I thought was the PS Audio room. Okay, they brought out a 27-year-old pair of speakers. They were still brand new. They found it in a friend's garage, brand new.
Yeah,
27 years
what
old.
friend is that? And who's buried under the garage?
But I actually was pretty astounded by what that the new PS Audio Digital was doing. Like, played some recordings done by Keith Johnson, like his Red Norvo, and most of the digital when I hear it is usually metallic. It kind of, the big key, you could fool a lot of things, but to me, the one thing that, you can't ever fool the human ear is the voice. And when you listen to this digital with voice, it's a lot more natural. Actually, you can hear edges in instruments, which like digital never does. So to me, those speakers, they resolve things, they move air. I mean, 4 12-inch woofers per side.
Yep.
They had a new amp in there, the power plant amp. I mean, that was a really outstanding room.
This is the IRS beta, and in fact, I got into trouble years ago writing about that. There was a newsletter that we put out in the late 80s, and they had the Infinity IRS beta system, and it retailed for $12,000. And it wasn't the gigantic IRS 4s at the time, the 5s hadn't even come out yet. And $12,000, I put in my little newsletter, but $12,000. You could just see them coming out of sound decks on top of cars strapped to the tops. And the guy got so mad at me at sound decks that I was barred from the store for 20 years for saying that. 20 years. But you know what the good part of that was? The fallout was some guy up in Seacliff, New York, he read the thing, and he wrote a note to me, and he said, I'd like you to review for my magazine. It's The Absolute Sound, and it was Harry Pearson. So maybe my chutzpah got me somewhere. But that brought back memories of that today. And we interviewed Paul, and he talked all about it. You'll see it in the videos. So I guess it's my turn. Okay. I could just rattle them down. It was Bricasti, just same system we had at the Capitol Audio Fest, but way better room. Because that speaker, it's a title, it's called the piano model. It's only about that tall. And Bricasti M28 monoblocks and the M1 digital line stage. And I'll tell you, the whole room just kind of melted. You had Pratt, which is pace, rhythm, and timing. You had detail. You had soundstage. You had layering. You had depth. And you had emotion. And it was a manageable sized system. And then I kept going room to room to room, and another one that stood out that the business manager liked, again, and she does like this, is an audio note. We played it real low,
that
though.
was good.
Wasn't that good this year? Real good. And then, one of my other favorites. See, look at me cheating here.
That's fair.
I know.
RHIP.
Was I walked into the acoustic Zen room, and it was bright, and I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to, sit down and put our music on, and it wasn't the system that was bright, it was the track that was bright.
Yeah,
and
it's so important when you walk in, what's playing.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, elaborate on that.
Well, yeah, that's why it's good to come back. If you and check out. Of course, it's very difficult given the time constraints, but I know I've done the same thing. And certain brands that I'm looking forward to hear, I'll go back on Sunday and things can be 180 degrees.
Sunday too, it gets warmed up, but usually about 3 o'clock on Sundays when everything starts sounding really good.
That's right. That's when everybody wants to go home. It's like it's terrible because you should attend the show in the last hour of the show.
I want to add one thing about. In the past, I've even said in writing I'm not a huge Wilson audio fan, but this year I heard the duet. And I can't recall the dealership's name, but they're around here. And
Listen Up, maybe. Yeah.
No, it was Alternative Audio.
Yeah, okay, Alternative.
And it was really good, very coherent, balanced. Really enjoyed it. So I'm just trying to restore my reputation with Wilson.
Okay. So these are great rooms. I guess the standout room, I hate to say it, GTT, YG. Those Haleys utterly disappeared in the room. They played, and we used his track. We heard it over in the big fucking vocals. Sierra Una Noche on the Haleys with the audio nets and the credits table. I'll tell you, I was lost. Outstanding, fantastic room. Even the operator said that perhaps it was the best sound he ever got from that room. They've had that room 5 or 6 years in a row. So how about that? Okay, now at this show, there's the hotel is divided into 2 towers. You have a tall tower called the tower, and then you have the atrium. The atrium's only 5 levels. We're sitting right now in the atrium, in the press room in the atrium, and the tower has a level, the mezzanine level, and that's their conference area room. So if you were to come here and you were to have a CPA conference or whatever, you have those rooms, and that's what happens to us. So we have, they're fairly large sized rooms, and we had musical surroundings was a part of one room with their local dealer. They were showing the big Utopias. We had another room showing another pair of big Utopias. Kevin Hayes from VAC, his room. We had Ted Denny with Philip O'Hanlon showing the Kawase speakers. We had Zoo Audio in another room, and if I'm missing a room, Phil can help me out.
No, you think you got it.
I think I got it. So of those rooms, because they are unique here, anything stand out for you, Miles?
I was a little disappointed by the two big
rooms.
speakers. I mean, having heard them before, I know that they could do better, but they each had kind of individual strengths. But the other Utopia speaker, the Stellar Utopia that was in the musical surroundings room, actually sounded a bit better. But even that had like some low frequency issues going on there. But that aside, that room I thought stood out. And again, I listened to analog, and what kind of struck me is, Garth was bringing in that brand new cartridge which uses that optical coupling, and that was actually quite interesting in there.
I agree.
That brought one a lot closer to that tape sound.
It did, and Garth was showing it to me. A normal cartridge has there's a little needle at the end of this little stick called a cantilever, and at the back of it, the thing wiggles around, and there's a little elastometer, and then there's coils around it, so it interferes with the electrical field of the coils as it moves up and down and left and right in a stereo phono cartridge. This, though, it affected a light, there's a light sensor in the back. So at the pivot point of the cantilever behind it, inside the cartridge, this light sensor is sensing, I guess, differences in temperature.
Yeah, well, what you're also avoiding is magnetic saturation, the optimal position of the coils in the magnetic field and stuff like that.
That's been around a while. Didn't Wind Labs do that?
No, that was a strain gauge.
That was strain gauge.
So this is brand new technology. It's never been used before.
Yeah, this is new. Miles is correct. This is new technology. Yeah. And Garth was saying that he found the guy and they've been refining it, and Garth said to me, he had this big smile on his face. He goes, Peter, this is just like the way the guy made it. It's like a prototype. He says, what if he experimented with different wood bodies? Maybe he put it in stone or something. You could have different levels of performance that are unheard of. So Garth has drank the Kool-Aid with this thing, and I think he's on to something.
Well, the thing is, it's also not horrifically expensive. They have a set of prices, $8,000 to $10,000, but you have to remember that you don't need a phono preamp. It comes with its own, step-up system.
That's right.
So it's not horrifically expensive when you look at it that way. It's not, I expected it was going to be like $25,000.
Yeah, me too. I thought as soon as he started, showing it in the presentation, I thought, oh my gosh, here we go.
But Garth was looking at, to me, he didn't say the body, but Garth was going to be, the electronics in it aren't so good, so maybe we can improve the electronics and do this and do that. So
there's no price point?
Well, it's
it's an 8 to 10 as estimated. They haven't settled on it.
So get your orders in now before Garth starts putting keycaps in the thing.
But the other aspect of light in audio that's really nice, though, is the LDR preamps with Tortuga and their LDR preamp. I think that's pretty much cutting edge for a non-standard, gain stage with solid state or tubes. And I know I'm also a member of Connecticut Audio Society. There's a lot of excitement about those. We have one member who's designed, supposedly optimized this, and is going to be bringing it to market. I won't mention any names at this point because it's not really out there.
Okay, well, we've kind of veered over to source material.
Yeah.
And my favorite room, let me back this up. So we came into the show, and I'll preface this. At a couple shows ago, there was a jazz singer, and kind of got a sultry voice, like a Diana Krall type of voice, but really nice and sultry and mellifluous. She has a new album out called Potions. Her name is Lynn Stanley. And I was emailing her back and forth, and we met at the last show. You saw some video of her at the last show. So I emailed her back and forth. I said, why don't you send a couple albums our way? And I didn't hear back from her. And she didn't understand that if you give us albums, we embed it in the videos, and then people see the videos, and then she sells lots of albums. So that right before the show, she said, hey, Peter, find me, here's my cell phone number. So we came into the show, and sitting over in the classic audio room was Lynn, and she was playing one of her test pressings. And she brought to the show, she said, look what I have. And she reached out of it, and it was a reel-to-reel tape. And she already knew she wanted to give it to Miles. So Miles, what happened to that tape? Where did it go, and what do you think of it?
Well, we played it in the Prana Fidelity room, Steve Norber's room. So pretty much sat there for the whole time being played. She actually came in today. I was going to, you'd see it in my blog for today that I'm going to do. But she came in actually and sang a little bit along with it, so you could see how close the tape actually sounded to the the tape. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So.
That was a great room, too.
That was a great room. That was a great front end because it had a Technics 1500. I guess it had some modification. In fact, it did. It had new heads, and because the outputs came down to a Charles King outboard head end.
To EQ,
Yep. And I'll tell you, when he played that, I just lost myself in the music. Steve Norbert had the smaller speakers. I think they're 90 or 90.
5090s.
5090s. Thank you very much, Steve. That was a very, very good room. Another source material. Kirsten, how about that? A turntable or something as a source?
Oh, let's see. I'm going to have trouble thinking of something now because I'm on the spot.
Well, you can't go wrong with VPI. Anything new from VPI?
There is some new stuff from VPI, and I can't remember what it's called.
Well, I'll give you a hint. One of them's called the Prime, and the other one's called the Avenger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's the Prime and the Avenger from VPI. So those were great. I always enjoy the George Warren turntables, the wood with the just the highly polished wood, the nice heavy platter. The speed stability on those are so good. I always enjoy it when I get a chance to hear them in a room.
Yeah, they're cool. They have a belt that's like fishing line, and then the belt holds the motor. The motor's on a tube, like it balances back and forth like this, so it has to be pulled over to be in line with the platter for the belt to go around, which is again fishing line. So you can tap on it, and then it wobbles back and forth, so it's got the perfect tension. It's a nifty turntable. Yeah,
it's really cool.
Turntables. Give me a turntable.
I was intrigued by, I didn't even catch the name of it. Was
I can't believe they're not saying what I'm thinking.
a Lithuanian handmade turntable by a guy out of his basement, with metal lathe and everything. It was very impressive. I think it was 10,000, and they've got an arm with it for about 2,500. It's hard to judge it totally because of the speaker in the room was of limited bandwidth. But it looks promising. And what are we missing?
We are. Okay, no one's even lighting up.
I mean, first of all, we kind of talked about tables at the New York show and about how you never think anymore. Of course, you have turntables. And
that's right.
I think the one thing that really just struck me overall was there had to be 25 different manufacturers here with turntables.
Here.
I know which one you're thinking about.
Yeah,
But there's two that really would strike me. But you're thinking about the Triangle Arts turntable.
Oh, wasn't that crazy?
I was about to mention that.
That thing is amazing.
Yeah, I mean that is amazing. It's just an amazing thing. And Tom Vu is the proprietor of Triangle Art. He's come out with the Stone Body cartridge. And he even texted me. He said, "Peter, I haven't dialed in so well. You're going to come down. And it's the biggest opportunity of your lifetime." So he gave me the good. I
got about the same thing too.
Yeah, I took the bait, and here I am swimming around. I take the bait, and we go over to listen today, and indeed it was very good sounding. Another turntable house.
Well, I always lust after this table because I think it's one of the best tables I've ever heard, and I have the VPI and I love it. But the clear audio, that big clear audio, that's $29,000.
In Garth's room.
Yeah. I mean that table has the ability to get stuff off the record that just few other tables do. I mean, you just hear more of a record than you've ever heard before.
I like the Brinkman too, the Brinkman Spider that they had. I forget which room it was in, but that was really sounding good. There's the one I used to like that I haven't seen in a few years was the Galibier Stelvio, and he's been missing for a couple of years. But I keep getting emails from him that he's going to come again.
Well, speaking of turntables, I've had, and they're here today, or Goldman. First time I've seen them exhibit, I thought, how cool is that? And I thought, oh boy, if I turn the corner and look and they have that $300,000 turntable, that we've never seen one. We don't know if it's real. Is it photoshopped? They claim they've sold 100 of them to Asia. They probably have. So I come around and they have the small Prologue, I think that is the name of the speaker. These are self-powered speakers. They have 3 amplifiers in the speaker. All you have to do is I think you can send over Wi-Fi or link or however.
Yeah, Wi-Fi was part of it.
Was part of the deal.
Yeah, they have a proprietary link too.
Yeah, that's right. And I got to meet Michelle Riverton. And I used it when I was a youngster, audio youngster. I mean, Goldman was God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then here I am. I said, "Hi, I'm Peter Berninger," and he kind of knew me, and he said, "Hi, and you of course you know me." He said, "I've been in the business for 45 years," and it was an honor to meet him, because anybody who can be in this business and survive and prosper over that length of time deserves a big pat on the back. That was cool to see him, hear it, very articulate sounding, fast.
Good.
It was good. Yeah, it was real good, real good.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, they kind of disappeared for a while. Now they seem to be having a resurgence. I mean, I'm trying to remember the name of the speakers that come back from the 80s. A friend of mine had
I know what
the
you're
floor
talking
standard.
about.
They were high efficiency.
Yeah, yeah.
And boy, they were great, and it's good to see them again.
Yeah, I ran into someone in the halls, and they were talking about, well, there's Goldman, and I was there when
The dialogue.
The dialogue, and this guy, and I know who it was. It was Dennis Pitzer, and he's our fanatic file, and he's the current head of the Philadelphia area audio group. He was at a hi-fi store in Dallas, he said, and Michelle had come over to do a demo for the store, and he said Michelle said, "I'm coming up with this new speaker." And he said, "Anything can drive it. It's going to be better than anything I've done before." And he bought him sight unseen, and he still has them to this day in his home theater center. So that was cool to see Goldman kind of come back on the comeback trail. It was really great.
Yeah.
Now Miles started something a while ago. It was one piece you could take home. Are we going to stick with that, or do you have another thing you want to throw out at
No,
us?
I like that, and I also like, our Bling Award.
The bling
Award.
Well,
And I gave a lot of thought, because there was a lot of bling here this year.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give the Bling Award. My Bling Award, Triangle Art.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that.
Triangle Art.
That's just
You?
that's so easy.
That's just,
Yeah,
okay.
like-
So what are you going to be, a contrarian or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I really loved? The Melody 845
Oh, yeah.
amplifiers.
Oh,
I-
yeah.
They were just, to me, stunning.
They're so pretty.
I am going to be contrarian.
And-
And they also gave great consideration to the Transrotor Orion. That
That was nice looking too. Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, speaking of, you're mentioning Melody, reminded me of this. Visually, the Raven Audio.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Two
That was,
amps are
yeah,
just
that was
so pretty.
And
They're all
the speakers
shiny.
with them, with the horn-loaded speakers, that were also based on vintage.
Yes,
There was an
yeah.
Altec 803 woofer,
Mhm.
and I think 802 mid-range compression driver, a JBL slot tweeter.
Yeah, that
When
was
I-
the
that was
Burwell and
great.
Sons.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, Burwell. Yeah, I didn't get it. I saw Burwell a couple years ago in California, Northern California show, and they were trying to grab me to come in, and folks, there's just not enough rooms for the camera to cover at Rocky Mountain. It's not a small regional show. This is the premier audio show in the United States. It really is a festival here, and there's just so much to see and do. It's hard to get to everything. But I think a lot of us did try to get to the bigger rooms. How about, I threw this out at the our last reviewers review, a small system, smaller speakers. Speakers smaller than, we call these monkey coffins. In fact, Harvey Rosenberg coined that term, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day. Anything small, grab you.
Yeah, actually, because I always search for that, because I always want to try and include that in my blog. So the one that kind of struck me, and it's been around for a while, but I guess, kind of flew over my head, was the small DeVore 3XL speaker. It's about $3,000. It's, like a Rogers size speaker. And I thought, it imaged like a son of a gun. It was really transparent. Yeah, I thought if it pushed, maybe, but it could also have been the room. But I like that for a small speaker.
Kirsten, how about you?
I really liked the Sonist and Snake River Audio have come out with a small stand mount. And they've got such a nice, rich sound. I heard them first time at Newport and was joking with Johnny from Snake River about where he was hiding the subwoofer, because there's this great bass coming out of these little things. They're probably this big. And they're really pretty too.
They are. Small speaker.
Okay. Well, I don't know if the 5090s would qualify in there.
I don't see why not.
I still love it every year. The other one, it was new to me, is from a Finnish manufacturer, Existence loudspeakers. He had a floor model one based on a Tangband, I believe it was 8-inch driver, and then he had a smaller stand-mounted one that was just astonishing. I don't recall the retail. I think it was about 4,000. And it was really pretty amazing. Again, the bass was remarkable from.
I heard, I mean, he's headed in that direction, but it doesn't quite qualify as a small speaker. But I just left before we started shooting Carl Marchieta's room at NOLA, and he had a smaller speaker coming in. Last show, 2 weeks ago, Miles gave him Best of Show, Gold Sound Award. I get mixed up with the name nomenclature of his speakers. It's the Gold Central something or other, whatever it's called, and he's got it here. But you know, it's that wide, but it's still on the floor, so I guess I really can't. But it sounded pretty good. There, that little Steinham speaker?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Am I pronouncing that right?
With the aluminum.
Made by a couple of Goldman expats.
That's exactly
That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That would be my vote for small speaker.
You know, small speaker, and the one I really wanted to hear, and he just never put it out. You mentioned NOLA, it was the little NOLA Brio, that's like $9.95. And every time I went in the room, Carl, you're going to put it in the system, and no, but it's like, looks like the exact same, in my blog I wrote, honey, I shrunk the speakers.
Yeah.
You stole that from me from that last show.
Yes, you did. I don't remember that, but okay, I'll give you credit. But, you know, it was like, it looked like his bigger speakers, but just in a like 12-inch size package.
Yeah, that would have been cool to hear.
Well, the Joseph Audio Pulsars are great too. They're small. Of course, they're pretty pricey.
Yeah, they are.
Good.
Okay, well, so much for small speakers. How about best value? Miles, any thoughts on that?
That's a tough one. I was really looking around for that. And I was really hoping that Carl again was going to play those speakers, you know. I don't know. I'm going to pass on that.
Kirsten?
I might have to check my notes, actually.
Okay. Steve?
Steve Norbert's going to love me, but the
There you
59
go. There you go. There you go. Well, I've got two, and they're no-brainers. Klaus from Odyssey. Whole system. Man, was that good sound or what? And what was it, like $7,000?
Yeah.
And then Emerald Physics. I mean, another system. He had a system in the back room around from where Wired for Sound had set up his large systems. And it was a back room. And you walked in, and the fit and finish, he spray paints these things, and it looks like almost like, what do you call that? Fossil wood. Whatever it is.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and they're beautiful looking. They were only that big. And I've always looked at those speakers like, well, that's something for a real hardcore audiophile because of the look. It's open baffle design. It's got this curve at the top. The speaker's big round thing at the top. I'm sure the wife would say, what is that? Get that out of my house. And these are not that way. And I could see these being in living rooms in regular folks' homes, producing beautiful music, huge soundstage, and just really, really, really musical. Bang for the buck, off the charts.
Oh yeah, the other one is spatial audio.
You stole mine. I was just
Oh, you got it, spatial.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Certainly.
can't remember what the actual price point is on them, but I think
I think
it's
it was 4,000.
it's under $5,000, and paired with the Red Dragon, you know,
There's a lot of sound for that money.
really room-filling sound. And I've heard them with other components at other shows, and I'm really impressed by those speakers. I think you can get a lot for your money.
Well, I would like to wrap up with one component to take home, but before that, I'm going to throw out just kind of a weird thing. I'm going to see if you guys can guess. Senior member of the audio manufacturing community that you don't normally see at shows was here today.
I know what you're going to say.
And I want, let's see, I don't want Miles to guess. I'll leave it at that. Do you have any, could you guess on just what I said? What that could be? Don't normally see it.
Well, when you use the word senior, you have to be careful.
Yeah,
Who are you calling senior?
very famous, very famous.
Oh boy. No, I'm gonna
Okay.
pass.
Any? No?
I have no idea.
You know. Go.
Arnie Newdell.
Oh.
Yeah, Arnie Dudell, and I was going to say mine, there's two. Harry Weisfeld was here, and Harry doesn't normally travel outside of New York. Harry doesn't even travel in his car very far. He doesn't. He was here. He came out, and we you'll see up on the Facebook a picture of Harry and Matt and me and Jane, and it was great to see him here at the show. So Arnie Dudell, Harry Weisfeld, Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. What a great place this is. What a great, great place. So let's go. One component you want to take home?
The new Sutherland phono stage.
Oh, that was sexy, sexy, sexy. Thumbs up to that. Did you see how he built on the board? He floats the circuit off the top of the sheet of copper on these little nubs, and then he hardwires it. It's almost like a hardwired tube back. It's like, how cool is that?
That's awesome.
It's awesome. The boards themselves. How about you? Take one home.
hard to pick, but I think the one that I'm actually counting my pennies for is the new Alpha Dog Primes from Mr. Speakers. I have a pair of Alpha Dogs at home, and listening to the upgrade, it's really good. It's really good, and I'm definitely, checking the bank balance to see if I can bring that one home.
And Steve, what would you take home?
Well, I'm also about to upgrade in the DAC category. So, and I've been eyeballing the Arlic Vega for a while. So that's probably what I would want to take home.
Wow, Arlic, good. We have Zach, our young reviewer, he's getting the bridge sent to him this week, and he's had the Vega for a couple weeks, and he's shooting it in his D1 Rhino review. Mine's easy. I want that cartridge from Garth. I want that thing. I want that.
That was my second choice.
I want to put that in the system. I want to hear it. I want to hear it on the Triangular turntable. I want to hear it on the Kronos turntable. I want to hear it on the Air Force 2 when that makes its way to our listening studio one. But I mean, the way Garth told the story, I mean, I was just like, I was a drug addict. He's a drug dealer. I'm saying how much it doesn't matter.
And notice if I had picked that.
Shut up and take my money.
Shut up and take my money.
And notice if I had picked that one, it would have fit in my room this time.
That's right. Well, let's wrap up from Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. I thought it was a great show. Steve, thumbs up, thumbs down for Rocky Mountain.
Oh yeah, 2 thumbs up.
All right, 2 thumbs up. Miles.
Well, I wouldn't come here if I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I have to say, I really enjoyed it, but, by midday yesterday, I just, gave up. But I wrote in my blog, it's like, I'm just going to see what I can see because there's no way I'm getting through this whole show.
Yeah, I got called out for not going into a room. I walked into a room and walked out. They were playing the Beatles box on monos, and copyrights. We can't record that and put that out on YouTube. And the guy called me out in the elevator this morning. What's the matter? Why'd you leave my room? I come back to my room. What's the matter? You're depressed. You're supposed to cover all that. I said, do you know how many rooms there are here? So that
And especially if they, you got to sit down and talk with people. So if you spend 15 minutes a room talking to people, not counting everybody you see in the in the hallway and everything, you need a week to do this show.
I know you do. I go down the hallway and I look down at the rug. I don't want the people, and I hear people call me, and it's like, no, you got the wrong guy. That's
but we could make a plea to the people who run the show. Try and extend the Friday hours instead of ending at 6. At least do Friday to 8.
Yeah, do it noon to 8 on Friday. I think that would help us out a lot. And then,
not to mention an express elevator.
Chris, what do you think of the show?
I loved it. 2 thumbs up.
All right.
Great show.
Okay, we have a team here reporting from the Rocky Mountain Audio Fest 2014.
Miles Astor.
Kirsten Broadbent Kenny.
Steve Marsh.
And Peter Berninger. Happy listening. See you at the next show.
So long.